Alright, it's finally here. The 80-watt preenex laser engraver. Just got her unboxed. Took everything out of it. Laid it to the side. Got the honeycomb bed here. Top's open, ready to go. So, I'm going to walk you through setup here in this video. Show you a few upgrades we have with it. But for now, let's just do a quick walk around. Got the top open. Like I said, the honeycomb bed is out. But here you can see your laser head. You got your axes on the sides. Up top, move the beer out the way. Got a couple alarms. Your emergency stop here. Your key. Your controls for your bed here, up, down, and your control switch, power on, and your Ruida controller. On the side here, if you open these tabs, twist it, allows you to open that up. You can see here, right here is your air assist that comes with the machine. That's one thing we are going to upgrade here, and we're going to upgrade that to the 8-gallon California Air Tools compressor. So we'll be doing that in this video. Another thing we're going to upgrade is the water chiller. Now this did come with its own little aquarium water chiller here. We're not even going to set that up. We're going to go right to the CW5000 right here, made by S&A. So we'll be showing you how to do that as well. Real quick, when you're unboxing this thing, it has these adjustable legs here that were secured to the pallet with a screw that went in this hole here. So be sure when you get this at your house or garage to take those screws out, and then you can lift these, screw them into the machine, so it'll use the casters back here to roll it off the pallet. If you go around to the back here, we got this top open, and you can see your laser. There was a big long piece of tape here kind of holding this laser into place. We just took that off, and you can check your label here. It says 80 watts, so we're good to go there. Now if you open the back here, you'll see your exhaust. Pop that open. Got your exhaust pipe there, and we are putting in our own exhaust fan. See here, we got the Cloudline series. It's the Cloudline S6. It's a 6-inch exhaust fan, so that'll help blow out all the fumes from this garage. Alright, now let's get into what came with this machine. It was all inside of this blue bucket here. It was on top of the tray inside the machine. The blue bucket itself will be used if you use the water chiller this machine came with. You'll fill this whole bucket up with water, and your water chiller will come in here. But we're not using that, we're upgrading, so we're not going to worry about that. Have our manual here. It did come with Ethernet cables. Wife and the baby are out here. Some Allen wrenches there. You got your USB drive, it came with that. USB cord, grounding cable. We don't have to worry about this in the US because our ground is integrated into our electrical system, so we're good there. We've got our power cable, a tube of silicone here, some white tape, some hose clamps. This key came with that, and it also has your laser focus on there. And this was zip tied to the laser head itself. Took me a minute to find it, but that's where it is. So we got the key, we got the laser focus. Comes with some water tubes there, and a 6-inch corrugated pipe for the exhaust. And that's what it all came with. So it came in that bag. Some of that stuff was in the bag. And the first thing we're going to upgrade here on this machine is the water chiller. So put that on the next video. Alright, so the water chiller seems pretty easy to hook up if you have the same one I do, the CW5000. I think there's a 5200. I'm sure it's the same or kind of close. But all that's on here is 2 buttons. Temperature up, temperature down. And then a power button here. On the top is where you're going to fill up your water. We have 2 gallons of distilled water. It says to use distilled water, so that's what we got. So that's where you're going to fill this up, and we'll show you how to do that here. On the back, you got your water inlet and water outlet, and that's where these hoses right here that came with the machine are going to come into play. And they're going to hook up here to the back of this water chiller and connect to the back of your machine here. Water inlet, water outlet. Pretty simple. So I'm going to start off by filling this up with water. I saw in another video it took about 1.5 gallons, so we'll see. I'm going to grab a funnel real quick, make this a little easier on me. Okay, I got my funnel. Forgot to mention here on the back, that's your water fill gauge. You got low, normal, and full. We're going to reach for right below full. Try to get it right on that line there. You don't want to fill it up too far into the yellow. Keep it in that green. So that's what we're going to do. Alright. So if you go a little bit over there when you first fill it up, I'm just above that black line. I think maybe just that. Actually kind of fell down below it now, so we're good. When you start it up for the first time, you are going to have some of that water shoot out and cool off that laser, so it is going to go down a little bit. We'll keep an eye on it, fill it up if we need to, but we should be good for now. Alright, once you're filled up, you're ready to start connecting the hoses. My water chiller came with these 2 hose clamps. I wish it came with 4, but it didn't. So we had to order a box of hose clamps from Amazon. You know, they're pretty cheap, but pretty simple. You just get a flathead screwdriver. In this case, you can use a flathead or a Phillips here. But just push that hose on there as far as it'll go, and tighten these clamps up until you can't pull off these water hoses. Be sure not to use zip ties to secure these water lines, because they'll dig into this plastic tubing and rip it and cause leaks, and they're just not as strong as hose clamps. So once you got your hoses hooked up in the back of your water chiller, go ahead and do the same thing in the back of your machine. That's where I'm at now. Just got to do these last 2 hoses here, so I'll update you when I'm done. Alright, we are all hooked up. Got our water in there. Inlet hose is going to the inlet connector. Just double check that before you actually start it up. But that's all it is for the water chiller. We'll wait to plug this in until we're completely upgraded. Next video, I'll be tackling this air assist. There's a little more to that one, so it might be a little longer video. But water chiller's done. Exciting stuff. Hey guys, real quick, I got the water chiller up and running. This was kind of tricky to get right. This screen's not actually blinking, it's just my phone camera that's making it do that. In real life, this is solid. But find some good videos on how to set your temperature, because when you first buy this CW5000, it comes in a smart mode, which I think keeps it 2 degrees lower than the ambient temperature around you. So you got to go in there and reset it and set it to the temperature you want. There's some good videos out there already, so just look that up and they'll be able to walk you through it. That's something I had to look up myself. Another thing, which is why I got these towels out, I filled this thing up and did a test run. Everything looked good until the alarm started beeping on this thing and water was pouring all out on the floor. So I clamped them down here with the hose clamps and clamped them on the machine right here. What I didn't look for was where those hoses connect to the laser, and that is in this side panel on the left. I can open it up. So you just follow the inlet outlet hoses and they connect to the laser. And I'll show you that real quick. Open the back to expose the laser here. And when I open this up, the hose right here at the bottom of the laser, this thing's unplugged by the way, had fallen completely off from the water pressure. So all that water was just draining out to the bottom of my laser and made a huge mess. About 2 gallons of water fell out of this thing without me noticing it. So what I did was I hooked the hose back up to the laser, and I used another one of those hose clamps here. And on the other side of the laser, it's the same thing. For the inlet hose, it hooks up on the left side there, easy to find. Same thing, put another hose clamp on that, and you'll be able to avoid that mess that I had. So, just a heads up, hose clamps are your friend here. Alright, so this is where we're at now. We unboxed our machine. First thing we did was went through and made sure we had everything, and then we went ahead and hooked up our water chiller, and that's ready to go over there in the corner, the CW5000. Next thing I'm going to show you is this air compressor here, which will be an upgrade to the one this machine came with and is hooked up into the machine already. Okay, so this is the 8-gallon California air compressor. Got it off eBay. I think it was $200. A few things you're going to need with this upgrade is an air hose, which I got from Lowe's. I think it was 15 bucks or so. And you're going to need these quick connects, which will allow you to just pull this back and connect to another connection point real easily. This air hose came with these in it in a box for $15. Okay, so it came with a whole bunch of these and a few other connection points, which I'll show you later on. But this air compressor is a quiet air compressor. That's the reason we got it. We heard a lot of good reviews online from our Facebook groups. And I'll show you real quick. All you do to turn it on is flip that red switch. And obviously you can still hear me talking. So this thing is going to charge up until it hits 120 PSI there. It hits that red. And then it'll stop. And obviously kick back on when it needs to. But this is super quiet, easy to use. You know, it's just that one switch. So that's why we got that. A few other things you're going to need for this upgrade. I have over here, and I'll link this stuff in the video. So we have our blue air lines that came with these little quick connects for the hose. That hose just, there's different kinds of connections in there, and I'll show you which ones we need. But I already have this hooked up. So this is a little Cylinoid that we had to buy on Amazon. It's another pretty cheap part. But this is what you're going to need. Let me bring it back over here to my air compressor. So we're going to attach this Cylinoid, and all this is it's going to allow you to control how much air goes in to the machine while you're using it. Okay, so that way you ain't got to use a machine or a computer to do that. You just kind of twist this gray knob up here and you can lock it into place. So what we did here is we took our blue air hose here and we took one of those blue connection points and screwed it into the side of the Cylinoid, and the blue hose just attaches in there. You just push back on that blue flat piece there, and the hose goes in and locks it in place. On the other side, we have one of those quick air hose connection points that came with this yellow hose, just screwed into place there. We used some silicone tape so there's no leaks in there. But this is basically going to mount on the machine somewhere. I haven't figured out where I'm going to put it yet, but it's going to mount there. Your air compressor hooks up into here, blue hose hooks up into here, and it's going to go in to the machine. I'll show you where later on. But that's where we're at now. So that's what you're going to need. You need the air compressor, air hose with connection points. You don't need the Cylinoid, but it's going to make life easier. Also, I've been told, so we got it. Got that with the blue air hose that came with all the attachments with it. So That's what we need. And next thing we're going to work on is unplugging or taking the old air assist out, the one that came with the machine. We're going to have to cut some wires and do some stuff in there. Just make sure when you're doing this stuff that the machine is not plugged in. You don't want anybody, you know, shocking themselves. So we'll get into the machine next and show you how to disconnect that air assist in there. Okay, so if you come around to the side of your preenex laser, open up this panel on the right side, you're going to be able to see your air assist in here. This is what we're upgrading. Okay, so we need to take this out. And how we're going to do that is we're going to snip these wires down here, again making sure our machine is unplugged so we don't get electrocuted. We're going to snip those. We're going to put some wire nuts on them just so they don't come into contact with anything and spark out. And then we're going to put some electrical tape on there. I got some tape here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to snip this air hose here, and that's where our blue air hose from our Cylinoid is going to hook up into. Okay, so all you're going to need here is something to cut this line with. Got that here. So just come to the back, make sure we're unplugged. I don't even have the power cord in there, so we're good. All right. And come up and snip one wire at a time. Done. Next thing we're going to do is snip the air hose up top. And that's it. This thing is zip tied in here, so let's see if we can cut that and bring it out. So I got a knife here to cut that out. Just a little zip tie. And then that thing just pops right out of there. So, old air assist, new air assist. I think that one's going to do us a little better. So we'll put this in our bucket of cheap stuff that we're not going to be using. And next thing we're going to do is take care of those wires. I don't have any wire nuts, so I'm going to look around the garage and see if I can find something to cover those up, and then I'm going to tape them up separately and just kind of tuck them out of the way here. So let me find something real quick. So I didn't have any wire nuts, so I'm using these little wire connection points, and then I'm going to tape them up. So all you do is stick these on the end of the wire and crimp them, and then I'm going to tape them up. So I'll show you where I'm at when I'm done with this. All right, so I crimped my connectors on there, taped them up. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to tape them up together now, since they're already protected, just to give it a little more protection. And then I'm just going to tuck it in here somewhere. Maybe tie it to the other lines here, but that's it. And then next thing we'll do is hook up this air hose to our Cylinoid, and we'll go from there. Okay, so this is where I'm at now. I got my Cylinoid. I ended up zip tying it to this grate back here. I don't know if I'm going to keep it there or not, but I don't know, I kind of like it for now. It took me a while to figure out where I was going to run this air hose into the machine to hook up to where the old air hose hooked up to, the one that's going in the machine now. But I ended up finding these holes in the bottom here where I guess they were going to put the casters, but I ended up not doing it. That's the top of that adjustable leg on the bottom. So they have these 4 holes that ended up fitting perfect for this hose. So I ran it from the Cylinoid down through the bottom of the machine, up through that hole. And I cut the blue line here. I gave it some extra slack just in case, and I used one of those connectors that came with the blue line and connected it to the black hose. I think it's going to work out. We'll see. If it doesn't, I'll figure something else out, but I kind of like it, so we'll stick with that for now. Just kind of tuck this up in here. I was kind of worried it was going to interfere with this door opening up, but as you can see, there's plenty of slack in there, and I don't see a need for opening up this door very often, so that's where we're at now. Next thing we'll do is hook up the air line that's coming from the air compressor into our Cylinoid, and then we'll be done, I believe. So we'll do that next. One thing I should mention on this Cylinoid, there's it's labeled on here, in, the other side says out. So in is where your line from your air compressor is going to be going into. And like I said before, I got this quick connect already on here in the grooves and taped up so there's no leaks. And the blue line is coming from where it says out through the machine itself and going into the line where the line hooks up to the laser. So now, since we already had that quick connect on the inside of that Cylinoid, all we have to do is connect our air compressor. Kind of hard to do this while holding the phone, so let's see if I can get it in there. Alright, so all we do is pull back on that quick connect. And since I have the zip tie, it's not very stable right now, so I'll give it some pressure. And it'll go on there. You heard the air release in there for a second. The machine's off, so it's just kind of letting go of that air. But once you turn the air on, all you got to do is maneuver this knob, loosen or tighten it, until you get the air pressure you want here. So that's it, and I'm pretty sure we're done with that. You can hear the air coming out of the nozzle there. Yep, it's working, so that's good. So we're done there. Next thing, I'm going to put this exhaust fan and hook it up to that 6-inch pipe that's coming out the back for the exhaust. Alright, so for this, I'll just do another video. Alright, now we're going to set up our exhaust fan. We have our Cloudline S6 exhaust fan. It comes with a little controller on it so you can 3M tape that thing to your machine and set how fast you want it to go. But for this, you're going to need your exhaust fan, obviously. We have a 6-inch exhaust tube that we bought off Amazon. It came with this hose clamp. You're also going to need the tube that the machine came with, along with the hose clamp that the machine came with. And that's it, I believe. So we'll start doing this now. First, you just come to the back of your machine where that exhaust vent is. You're going to take your 6-inch corrugated tubing that came with the machine, and you're going to place it over top of that. You're going to want your clamp on there first. Place it on there, and then tighten it up with Phillips head, it looks like. So grab that. Alright, we got our first hose clamp on there pretty tight. And the rest of this is pretty simple, so I'm just going to walk you through it here. You just take another hose clamp here, connect your 6-inch pipe coming from your machine into your exhaust fan here, and it has arrows showing you which way the air needs to flow. So coming from the machine, it needs to flow that way out of your garage or wherever you have it set up. So we're just going to connect that, tighten on that clamp, take our other 6-inch tubing here and just connect it to the other side of our exhaust fan, and the end of our tubing is going to run outside, whether it be through a window. In our case, it's through a garage door. So I'll start up the video again once it's all complete, but yeah, the rest of this is pretty simple. This thing does come with a remote, so once I figure out where I'm going to place this fan itself, I'll run this remote up to the front near the controller that the machine came with. I think I'll just use some 3M tape on the back or something, but yeah, it works pretty good. Let me plug it in for you. This is a quiet fan, so the goal here is to keep this as quiet as possible. With our air compressor, we have, that's a quiet air compressor, so you can see here, turn on that exhaust fan. It starts off low power, bring it all the way up to the high speed. And it kicks pretty good too. I've tried it out already. But right there, that's the highest speed it's going to go. And once that other fan is, or other tube is hooked up to that fan, it's going to be even quieter. So you can see it's pretty nifty. One more press and it turns off. But that's it.